Hi everyone, this is CricketSong with Lunar Wisdom, and this video is going to be talking about Magick Circles. This video was brought to you by the generous donations from viewers like you. To learn more about how to support CricketSong and to continue to view content such as this, please visit our Patreon page by clicking the link below. So I was watching Deviant Witchery's channel. They have a video that was published on September 10th of 2016 titled A Talk on Magic and Circles. It was a live Google Hangout, I believe, and unfortunately I missed the live show. I would have loved to, because I would have loved to have been a part of this discussion about Magick Circles specifically. Michael and Melissa raised a lot of different questions about Magick Circles, and I wanted to share my viewpoint on this. But before I get into it, I just wanted to mention that I do have a video. I'll put a link in the information section where I do discuss some other stuff about Magick Circles. I think it's basically what my do I have to cast a circle, I think is the title of the video. So a lot of the discussion that Michael and Melissa had was talking about whether or not it's important or necessary or beneficial even to cast a circle. And when you cast a circle, are you casting a circle like a hula hoop, or are you doing a cylinder which is open at the top and bottom, or are you doing a sphere? Because a lot of books talk about casting a sphere, and there was concerns about feeling limited or suffocated or claustrophobic, or feeling as if your magic has nowhere to go if you cast a sphere. So here's a couple, they have a couple of questions, and then I'll talk about my viewpoints on this. So the first one is, basically, what is the purpose of casting a sphere? What is the benefit in casting a sphere? And I think before we even talk about whether it should be a circle, a sphere, or a cylinder, or any sort of shape, is what is your purpose in casting circle? Are you casting circle as a protection, like a barrier between you and the ugly evil things out there? Or are you casting a circle as a container? Are you looking to contain whatever you're doing inside your circle? Are you trying to keep it in your circle? But I think that once you determine what your purpose is in casting a circle, is then when you can decide which is best for you to work with, a sphere, a circle, or a cylinder. Now, if you are casting as a sphere, what visualization I have used that really works well with me is the sphere is sort of like an energetic net or sieve, where it isn't a complete brick wall, but it's almost like this basket where there is sort of spaces, that it's this energetic barrier, but it's not solid. And the purpose of casting a sphere is it creates a bubble so that I am between the dimensions, I'm between the realms. I'm sort of like Glinda in my bubble, where I'm not necessarily in the physical realm, but I am not completely in the astral realm. This is a place and a space that is beyond these worlds. It is a beyond the time and space continuum. I've created this bubble where anything is possible. Anything can happen. The laws of the physical realm do not apply, and yet the laws of the energetic realm does not apply. And it is in this space where I create my magic. I don't always cast circle, and I talk about that in another video. But when I am casting circle, this is the purpose of it, so that I'm able to protect myself, but also I create this barrier where my raised energy can sort of be compressed until I choose to release it. Melissa brought up the point of needing to sort of open the spheres to let your energies go and then close the sphere. And she pointed out that that could take a lot of energy, and it could be very, very draining to, you know, cast your sphere, release it to let your energy go, and then to close the sphere again. And this is where, at least from a Wiccan perspective, you have the portals that are created as you cast your circle. And it's when I cast my circle or sphere, I also then call guardians, the watchtowers, the elementals, whatever, the spirits, whatever I'm calling to guard these portals. And I create the portals when I do my quarter calls. When I'm going to the north and I'm calling upon whatever I'm calling upon, I bring them into my circle or my sphere, and they guard that particular portal. And then I go to the next quarter and the next quarter and the next quarter. And the reason why I cast circle 3 times round is because I'm creating sort of this outer sphere and this inner sphere where the space between the two is sort of like a corridor. So that's how I sort of am plucked out of the time-space continuum. And these guardians or the watchers or the watchtowers are standing there, and they are determining what is allowed into my circle and what is not allowed into my circle. So I don't have to open and close my sphere every time I'm evoking the elements or whatever I'm evoking into the circle. And that evocation is an invitation or a summoning to be in my circle with me. When I raise my cone of power, then, when I'm doing my magical working within the circle, I raise my cone of power, and then I shoot forth my intention, this raised energy, to my target. It sort of goes through whatever it is I've called to guard the portals. That's why I would cast a sphere. You could do, my other thought is you could do a dome type thing, but if I just do a dome, then I'm still very much connected to the physical realm. And when I'm doing my magic, I want to be in a bubble. I don't want to be tied to the physical laws that govern this physical realm. I want to be in a place where it's limitless, and I am limitless. So a circle wouldn't work for me because of that. And I don't feel like, I know Michael brought up the concern about burning out your working or depleting your energy or having spiritual burnout because you are so encompassed in this sphere, you're trapped in this sphere. And when I'm in that sphere, I don't feel like there is burnout because I am working with whatever I've called in, but there is still a way for that energy to be dispelled or sent out to the target when I've raised that energy. I wouldn't cast a circle if I'm not going to raise some sort of energy, or I am not creating this sacred space or this space between outside of time-space continuum if there isn't a purpose for it. He talked about how do you get energy from the earth? How is the energy going to go to the target? How are you going to evoke the spirits? How are you going to communicate with anything? And I think I sort of covered that with the idea that I have these portals, these 4 portals in the quarters. So I guess we can talk about guarding the portals before we talk about bringing all the elements in. All right. Well, actually, I can sort of talk about this together. So when I work in my circle, which listen and hear sphere in that, is I don't call the actual element into my circle. I have the element, like I have a candle, so fire is actually in my circle. But I work with the spirits, the guardians, and the powers of each quarter. And only on very specific, like important or powerful times will I call the watchtowers. And I'll explain why I use them at only specific rites or rituals or workings. I usually call forth the spirits of the quarter. So, calling the spirits of the south. The guardians of fire, they are what is going to guard my portal, and the powers of will, because that's the sort of force that I want to be in circle with me. So I want the spirit of the south in circle and the powers of will to sort of be invoked within me, but I want the guardian of fire to guard my portal. And I invite them into my circle and I ask for their protection from any negativity and unwanted energy as I journey between the realms. So that is what I do. Now, Michael talked about the different energies or levels of energy within the different entities or whatever it is. He talked about working with the elementals. I see that the lords of the elemental kingdoms and the elemental realm as one plane of existence, and the spiritual realm being a different plane of existence, even though they are non-physical planes of existence. So we have the physical plane of earth where we dwell on, but there are other planes of existence that are all non-physical planes, and each of the different vibrational frequencies is where these entities reside or vibrate or align with. So depending on what I'm looking to work with, like, spirit guides and ancestors and familiar spirits, they're on the spiritual realm, where things like the watchers or the watchtowers, the elementals, the fae, they're on a different realm, or even like dragon energy or the winds. They're on a different level or a different energy vibration. And depending on what my purpose is for my circle or what my purpose is for my workings, depends on what I will call and what I will work with. Now, the watchtowers, I only use when I'm doing a specific rite of passage or a serious ritual, because I view them as more of a very powerful energy and a powerful entity if I'm sort of personalizing them. It's my belief that they are sort of this very elder race of spiritual entities that have a lot of wisdom, that they have sort of manifested or evolved beyond a physical manifestation. They're sort of like the elders of a coven. They're the ones that have been around for a very long time and have a lot of wisdom. And if I'm doing just a general working, like say I'm trying to do a spell for prosperity for myself, that spell doesn't necessarily need the power of the watchtowers. Now, Michael brought up a point about bringing the different elements in if you're working with fire, and he mentioned not, or being careful about bringing all the elements into your circle at the same time, because there could be a lot of different combinations that may not work for you. And he specifically pointed out that if you bring in fire and then you bring in water, water could cancel out fire. And the only point that I wanted to make in regards to that is when we're talking about alchemy, fire and water are actually the two primordial elements that, when combined, brought forth or gave birth to earth and air. So in my personal practice, being a non-traditional Wiccan, when I do the Great Rite, when I'm using my chalice to represent water, the goddess, feminine energy, and I use my athame, or my ritual blade, which represents masculine, projective, and fire, and I do the Great Rite with those two, it is a symbol of creating all the other elements, everything springing forth from those two elements, or the vibration of those two elements. So I personally do bring all four into my sphere or circle with me when I'm doing magical workings, because I see me as a manifestation of all these elements working together in harmony. So that's why I would bring all four together. But like he also mentioned, I mean, he talked about it, whatever works for you works for you. And you should definitely work with what makes sense to you, as long as you understand the purpose of what you're doing. Doing anything because an author or someone else told you to do it, I feel is really doing a disservice to your own spiritual practice. But understanding why you're doing what you're doing is the most important thing, especially when it's coming to casting your magic circle. The last point he talked about is using circle as a protection. Like if you're doing a channeling, if you circle, put a circle of protection around yourself, and then you cast a circle of protection for whatever it is you're evoking and you want to communicate with, that's a great point. And I think it's John D. Has examples of that in his writings, or actually talks about doing it, where you're conjuring something within its own circle and then you are in another circle, so the two of you aren't in the same place. When I personally channel, I surround myself in my own circle. I do trance channeling where I step aside and let that entity take over my physical body, and I think it's important to have a circle to protect the others that may be in communication with that entity, because they may not be a good vibrational match for that entity that they are speaking with. So I think that's it. Hopefully I gave a different perspective, and if you haven't watched the video that I talked about, I will link it in the information section here so you can watch their video. I love having conversations with them. They've been guests on the Sacred Circle numerous times, and it's almost time to have them on again. So definitely watch their video after you watch this or before you watch this, so you get the two different perspectives and the ideas that we are sort of trying to promote. I guess that's it. Until next time, I love you all. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or any other social media platform. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. This way you won't miss any of my newly uploaded videos. Be sure to connect with me on Facebook through my CricketSong fan page or my Lunar Wisdom business page. And you can always find me on my website at www.lunarwisdom.net.